वक्रतुंड महाकाया सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देवा सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Namaste. Welcome to this ninth session of Gita Jayanti celebration. Today, we are going to study 6 selected shlokas from 10th chapter known as Vibhuti Yoga. Dr. Anupama Shetty will explain the meaning of Shanti Mantra. We chant at the end of every class Om Purnamadah Purnamidam after presentation of Gita shlokas. Sri Madhusudan will join me to chant shlokas from 19 to 42 of chapter 10 at the end of our session. Now, let's pay attention to Dr. Hegde sir and his team of teachers. Sir.
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mokam Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Langayate Girim, Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande, Paramananda Madhavam. Continuing our Gita Jayanti celebration, today we are in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. In this particular verse, which is in the 15th chapter, Krishna calls a person who is not able to see God in and around the world as Vimuda. Because right from the 7th chapter of the Gita, Krishna has made a shift in our understanding of God from the form of God to godliness. And this becomes manifest in the 10th chapter, where we are trained to see God in the world, and in the 11th chapter to be able to see the whole world, both its good and bad things, as God. And in the 15th chapter, Sri Krishna makes a very strong comment. He says, Vimuda nanu pashyanti. Those are the fools, not great ordinary fools, but great fools who are not able to see me in this world, but pashyanti jnanush chakshushaha. But those who have a spiritual wisdom are able to see me in and through this particular world. Panaga, will you explain verse number 3?
Hari Om, Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Lord Krishna begins the 10th chapter, the Vibhuti Yoga, by offering to teach Arjuna more about the Ishvara Swarupa or the Vishwarupa. Specifically in this third verse, he enlightens us about the cause of the universe. Coming to the verse, Yo mamajamanadim cha veti lokamaheshwaram asammudha samartyeshu sarva papai pramuchyate. Everything that exists in the world today must have had a cause, a reason, an origin, a birth. Tracing all these causes backward, logically we must arrive at the causeless cause. Lord Krishna states that he is that birthless, ajam, beginningless, anadim, cause of the universe. Having always existed and being the primordial cause of all creation, he is Loka Maheshwaram, the controller of the whole universe. Those discriminative ones among mortals who know this transcendental truth are called Asam Mudhaha, and they become free of all sins. Sarva Papaihi Pramuchyate. Next slide, sir. Let us understand God as the cause of the universe, Jagat Karanam. In our initial understanding, we accept the Lord to be the omniscient, omnipotent creator of the universe. Since the universe is infinitely vast, we imagine God to be an extraordinary, superhuman-like person with multiple heads and hands. Of course, he has to be supremely intelligent too, given that this universe is so beautiful and perfect. When we thus visualize God as a sentient living person, we also assume he resides in a place, say Vaikuntha. As we grow up and our intellect is capable of thinking further, we ask, If God is the creator of the universe, where did he find the raw material? Our scriptures explain that the Lord is both the intelligent and the material cause of the universe. Being eternal, he alone existed before all creation, and all material emerged out of him alone. Therefore, our second level understanding of God as Jagat Karanam is that he doesn't create this universe, but he himself manifests as all creation. Just as the tiny seed evolves into a majestic tree, just as wood manifests as all furniture, as gold manifests as ornaments, the Lord manifests as this world. Next slide, sir. When our intellect and mind evolves enough to appreciate and embrace the world as the Lord Himself appearing in various names and forms, we can now see His glories, His vibhutis in all creation. Now we have progressed from imagining God to be a mythological character to physically seeing Him in everything we see. The air we breathe, the food we eat, the places we move around in are verily the Lord Himself. Every object, plant, insect, animal, even people whom we dislike are manifestations of the Lord. He is all pervading in and through everything we experience in this world. Coming into this higher state of being, we become free of all negativity and sins. Sarva papaihi pramuchyate. Spiritual progress is therefore the evolution of our minds to see divinity in all creation. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Panaga, for a clear explanation of this verse, which helps us to move from the creation to the creator. And we are gifted with an intelligent mind. And the intelligence that we need to apply is, if there is a wonderful creation, who is the one that who has created this world, and how do I discover that? And that we will study in this chapter, the Vibhuti Yoga. Dr. Vikram will explain the next verse, verse 7.
Hari Om. Bhagavan is describing the true nature of Lord. The Lord can exist in potential form and has ability to manifest in every other form in this creation. This potential to manifest is Maya Shakti or Yoga Shakti or simply Yoga. Yoga is the potential power which is in a dormant form. Swamiji gives example of butter being present in unmanifested form in milk. Butter is present, but it needs to be extracted. It is invisible, but inferable. This is also called as anuyayam. When potential becomes manifest, like plant manifesting out of seed, this manifest version of power is called as vibhuti or pratyaksham. Therefore, the universe as we see is Vibhuti form, and at Pralay Kalam, the whole universe exists in a potential or yoga form. Let's look at the verse. Etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yovetti tatvata sovikampena yogena yujjate natra sanshaya sahaya tatvata vetti. That means the seeker who understands this completely, that's important. He should understand it completely. What does Lord Krishna wants us to understand? The Lord can manifest in yoga sthiti or vibhuti sthiti, that is nirvikalpa or savikalpa, or avyaktaha, inferable vibhuti, and vibhuti is the vyakta. Next slide, sir. Both forms are one and same, and seeker should understand this clearly. Now, what happens to such a seeker once this understanding comes? Yogena yujjate. Lord Krishna says, such a seeker, for such a seeker, ekaru, anekaru, arupa upasana becomes one. He understands the true nature of Lord, which is Nirguna Ishvara. For such a seeker, he understands Jagat Ishvara Aikyam, as we have learnt in Ishavasya Upanishad. It states, Ishavatsam idam sarvam yat kinchet jagatyam jagat. That is, entire universe is pervaded by God. The next important word is avikampena, unshakable knowledge or conviction. A seeker who has a firm conviction in Nirguna Ishvara Jnanam is a true Jnani. He claims Aham Brahmasi. Aham Brahmasi. He realizes himself also as a Lord's manifestation. It is um, the next part of the verse states, where is the guarantee? Lord Krishna says, Atrana Sanshaya, which means Lord Krishna is basically reassuring us that a seeker who has realized the glory of Lord, both in manifest as well as unmanifest form, is indeed the true Jnani. Hariom.
Thank you, Dr. Vikram. Essentially, our training is to see the glory of the Lord. In its manifest form, it is called Vibhuti, but it requires even more intelligence to be able to see the unmanifest form, which here is technically called yoga. We see so many objects around. I see a wall in front of me. Now, the question is, who is seeing that wall? Is it my eyes that are seeing? Or is it my mind that is seeing? Or is it that consciousness that is seeing? That means in every experience, can I come in touch with the experiencer? And these are some of the exercises that we can do through each of these verses explained by Lord Krishna. Just as clay has the potential to become the pot, so too the Lord has the Shakti to become the universe. This manifestation is called Vibhuti, the unmanifestation is called Maya. So we need to move from seeing this illusory world as not as real as possible, not as real as we think it is. And this experience is to come in touch with a lower order of reality called Maya. Lakshmi will explain the next verse, verse number 8.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. Prabhavaha means source. I am the source of everything. For a Virat Bhakta, every experience, it may be Sukham, Dukkham, birth, death, failures, etc. All pairs of opposites, everything comes from the source. These bhaktas are at the intermediary level. Intermediary means between the lowest level in which God has only one form, Ishtadevata Swarupam, and the highest level where God does not have any form, Arupa Ishvara. Between these two is Aneka Rupa Ishvara, Vishwarupa Ishvara. The privileges of Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakta. This Bhakta enjoys a lot of virtues and many values come naturally. When we realize that the whole creation is the manifestation of Lord, how can we dislike one part like the other part of the Lord? Therefore, everything is welcome to me without any resistance. Ragadvesha will weaken. He will develop an extremely positive attitude towards life. He will take failures as learning opportunities. So now there is willingness to accept all as God's will. Mattah sarvam pravartate. Everything proceeds from me. Iti matva. Knowing this, he has only one attitude, prasada bhavana. With the awareness, the Virat Bhakta does not have any resistance to whatever the experience may be, even though it is a choiceless situation. He will accept everything Ishvara Prasada. This makes him an ideal karma yogi. The greatest karma yogi is a Virat Bhakta, Mam Bhajante. This Bhakta worships me all the time who am present everywhere. Why are these able to do that? Because they are Buddhas. Buddha is an important word that means they are the learned bhaktas or informed bhaktas. They know that Lord is both the intelligent and the material cause of the creation. They are the knowers of Virat Ishwar Granis. They are Bhava Samanvitaha. They are soaked in devotion. How do they get this devotion? The Virat Bhakta knows the whole universe is the manifestation of Lord. Their mind is always soaked in devotion to appreciate God. We need not drop our duties or work. It requires only a sensitive and informed mind. He cannot think of anything else other than the cosmic beauty and order and divinity. So he is always in relaxation. They do not require any stress management course. The wisdom is hope for the best, prepared for the worst. Also, the preparation is welcoming the experiences, good or bad. Hari Om.
Thank you, Dr. Lakshmi, thank you, Lakshmi, for a nice explanation. We will have Satvik explain the next verse for us. Satvik, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. This is the 12th verse of the 10th chapter, and it goes like this. Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram Paramam Bhavam, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. In the previous verses of the 10th chapter, Sri Krishna has spoken about Ishvara Swarupam. And Sri Krishna has also spoken about Vishwarupa Bhakti and the benefits of Vishwarupa Bhakti, which is Brahma Jnanam. And Brahma Jnanam, it leads to moksha, which basically means Sri Krishna is saying, I am the cause of the universe. And cause alone is the only substance. And everything else is just Nama and Rupa. Krishna goes on to say that I am alone manifesting as the universe. And appreciating the universe as the very manifestation of the Lord is called Vishwarupa Darshana. Now, the one who appreciates Vishwarupa Darshana is called a Vishwarupa Bhakta. And for a Vishwarupa Bhakta, a special temple is not required to invoke devotion. In fact, the devotion becomes the very essence of his living. Now, Krishna goes on to say that every glory in this universe is my glory. Now, in Arjuna, in this verse, he makes a special request. He says, hey Krishna, I know that every glory in this universe is your glory, but I would like to know in depth about every single aspect of your glory. And thus begins the 12th verse. So Arjuna starts this verse by saying, hey Krishna, Param Brahma, you are none other than the highest Nirguna Brahma. Not only that, you are Param Dhamma, you are the supreme light of consciousness, Chaitanya Swarupa. And not only that, you are Paramam Pavitra, the holiest of the holy, the sacred one. Anything that is associated with you becomes holy. And not only that, you are Purusham, the indweller. You are the resident in every single body. And you are Shashwatam, the eternal one. Even if the body dies, you continue to exist. And Adi Deva, you are the primal God who was existent even before the Devatas came into existence. And now, who is the cause of the Lord? Who is the parent of the Lord? For which Krishna says, I am Ajam, which means Lord does not have parents, as the Lord was never born. And where is the Lord located? Vibhum, meaning all-pervading one. And this is how Arjuna goes on to explain the glorification of the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you, Satvik, for a nice spirited explanation of this verse. We'll now go to Dr. Sundar. Dr. Sundar, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. As we see in this next slide, Lord Krishna has done several promises in this chapter. So he has told us that anybody who knows that this manifest creation is born out of Lord and who has got a knowledge that I need to look at everything in this creation reverentially as God Himself, He has promised that he will be blessed with an unflinching conviction in Arupa Ishvara. In other words, he'll be blessed with Brahma Jnanam, which leads to moksha. We have verses like the middle one, where he says that for such a Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakta, Lord shall bless with a provision for Jnana Yoga. He'll bless such a person with a Guru, with Guru Shastra Upadesha. As we see in this last verse, he goes on to the extent of saying that he shall compassionately reside in the minds of such people and light the lamp of Advaita Jnanam. With such a clear promise, it is evident that Arjuna is now interested in the pursuit of Vishwarupa Ishvara. He wants to be a Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakta. As we see in the next slide, Arjuna's problem is one lifetime is not sufficient to undertake bhakti of this vast expanse which is Vishwarupa Ishvara. Therefore, he is requesting Krishna to enumerate some examples which he can symbolically take as Vishwarupa Ishvara, on which as alambanams he can invoke the Vishwarupa Ishvara and thereby meditate on the Vishwarupa Ishvara. Essentially, what Arjuna is doing here is Jnanartham. He wants to do upasana. That is, for Brahma Jnanam, Lord Krishna has already told that you have to do upasana of Vishwarupa Ishvara. The second step is upasanartham. He wants the Vibhutis. To do the meditation on the Vishwarupa Ishvara, to make it easier for himself, he's asking for some examples as Vibhutis on which he can invoke the vast expanse of Vishwarupa Ishvara. This is similar to invoking the reverence of an entire country, a large country like India, on the flag. Katham vidyamaham yogims tvam sada parichintayan keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintayosi bhagavan maya. Let us see the Anvaya in the next slide. Keshu keshu cha bhaveshu. In which forms and glorious objects, O Bhagavan, chintayosi maya, may I meditate upon you. Sada parichintayan, constantly meditating. Arjuna is clear here that he is taken the route of Nishkama Bhakti, Jijnasu Bhakti, or Ananya Bhakti, where he is not interested in material accomplishments that God has to offer. He is interested in the God himself as the end. Therefore, God figures constantly, continuously, always in his mind, which is given by the word Sada Parichintayan. And he says in this last line, the purpose is Aham Katham Tvam Vidyam. I need these examples to be enlisted by you so that I may know you as Arupa Ishvara or Nirguna Swarupa Ishvara. So the message for all of us is the examples which Lord Krishna is now going to enumerate. We need to invoke the Vishwarupa Ishvara, thereby meditate on the Vishwarupa Ishvara, and then slowly go into Arupa Ishvara Bhakti. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sundar, for a nice explanation of Arjuna's question. And now we will see what Krishna will answer. Rekha, can you explain this verse?
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In response to the chamakam of favor asked by Arjuna, Lord Krishna begins a beautiful description of his own glories or vibhutis on which Arjuna can meditate. But before we go to that, we need to understand the context. It's just a recap. All our Shastras say that we need to realize God to attain moksha, And the Madhyama Shatakam of the Bhagavad Gita helps us understand what Ishvara Swarupam is. So what is the idea of God that most of us carry in our minds? As Panaga has already mentioned, we believe he is a creator, he has a form, he's a conscious being because he creates other conscious beings. He's very intelligent with many heads. He's very powerful with many hands. But we still don't know all the details. Is God a man or a woman? What is the color of his skin, etc. But what we can infer looking at creation is that there must be a creator. In the next slide, we see that the creation of any product needs an intelligent cause and a material cause. We take the example of the pot as Swami Paramarthananda so often does. The material cause of the pot is clay, and the intelligent cause is the potter. When we see the pot, we may or may not see the potter alongside the pot, but we infer that there must have been a potter. When we see a pot on its own, however, we don't need to infer that clay is present because we can see clay, we can touch it. So we learn that the intelligent cause may or may not be away from its product, but the material cause can never be away from the effect or product. That is, the pot can never be away from clay. In the next slide, we extend this analogy to our own universe. Our incomplete knowledge of God creates confusion, and we think that God is only an intelligent creator. Actually, we should ask the question, from what material did God create the universe? In fact, we should not ask that question. The question we should be asking is there anything other than God? Because really there is nothing. He is omnipotent, omniscient, and he must have created this universe out of himself. So everything that we see, touch, think, they are a manifestation of that Lord. And that is such a glorious vision of God. In the next slide, we see that in chapter 10, the two greatest glories listed are the Chit-Rupa Vibhuti in verse 20 and the Sat-Rupa Vibhuti in verse 39. Both these are in the realm of Nirguna Brahma, which is the subtlest, highest order of reality. And the best form of meditation is Satchit Rupena, where I can see God everywhere. But this higher Nirguna form aspect is difficult for Arjuna and all of us beginners to meditate upon. And so Lord Krishna, at his most merciful, gives us his Saguna glories to use as a stepping stone. In the next slide, we see that the Saguna glories are infinite, they're innumerable. But Krishna names the 72 most important ones, the extraordinary ones. And we can choose to meditate on any particular one based on our inclination. The next slide gives the entire list of the 72 Saguna glories. It's a very busy slide, and one can look this up later. But this is where Lord Krishna says, I am the best of every one of the 72 groups listed. For example, he says of the 12 Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of all the words, I am Omkara. Of the trees, I am the Ashwatha. Of the birds, I am Garuda, and so on. Lord Krishna is not boasting here, but he knows our minds are attracted to what is beautiful. And so he gives us those vibhutis, the most beautiful, the most attractive. But we must not forget that he is everything, the best, the worst, and everything in between. Coming to the verse proper, Vedanam samvedosmi, Devanam asmi vasavaha, Indriyanam manaschasmi, Bhutanam asmi chetana. Going word by word and the translation, I am Samaveda among the Vedas, I am Indra among the gods, I am the mind among the senses, and I am the intelligence in all beings. So why the Samaveda? Because it's the most glorious musical Veda of all, enchanting to listen to. It has all the swaras, whereas the others are chanted and they have fewer swaras. Indra among the gods is the controller of all the devtas. Among the sense organs, the mind is superior because the mind functions in all fields behind the sense organs. So it is superior to the eye, nose, ear, etc. And in fact, mind meditation is discussed in the Taittiriya Upanishad. At the end, Krishna says, I am the intelligence in all beings. I am Chetana, the sentiency or life principle in every living being. And this is why we should not kill or harm anything and practice ahimsa. The take-home message of these verses in the next slide is that God is himself both the intelligent and material cause. He's not the intelligence cause alone. The material cause can never be away from the effect. Remember the clay and pot? So our worry shouldn't be, where can I find God? But rather, I hope I never miss him in anything. I should always see him in everything. As is always said, is the water in the wave or is the wave in the water? So Lord Krishna says, I am in everything and everything is in me, which is why we should revere everything around us, as they are all the Vibhutis of the Lord. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Dr. Rekha, for a nice explanation of the key verse, which is a sample to talk about the 72 Vibhutis sandwiched between the two forms of the Lord, which is unmanifest, the Sat and the Chit aspect of the Lord. We now come to the mantra, and this is a difficult mantra to understand, but you will see in every class this is chanted because this contains all Vedanta. Dr. Anupama, can you explain this mantra, Om Purnamada?
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevava Shishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. The first quarter. Om Purnam Adaha Purnamidam. Here, Purna means infinite or Ananta. Adaha means that. Tat, the Paramatma, also Sat, the existence. Idam means this. Tvam, the Jivatma, also Chit, the consciousness. This literally means that Paramatma is infinite, this Jivatma is infinite. But we know that as Jivatmas, we are very, very finite. This is seemingly illogical, but has to be true. Paramatma is the same as Jivatma, and both are infinite. This is possible by negating the Anatma or attributes of both. So we drop the Vyavaharika aspect and equate the Paramarthika aspect. We know that every being is a combination product of Atma and Anatma. Thus, by dropping the Anatma, we equate the Atma of the Jivatma with the Atma of the Paramatma. Thus, both are infinite, Ananta. To conclude, Jivatma is Paramatma. Tat Tvam Asi. This is a Mahavakya which equates every one of us, Jivatma, to the Paramatma. Purnam Adaha Purnamidam therefore means that in each of us exists the Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma, our true or essential nature. The second quarter, Purnat Purnam Udachyate. Purnat means from that Paramatma. Purnam means the Jivatma. Udachyate means is born. This statement is based on Karya Karana Sambandha or cause-effect relationship. Now, what is the relationship between Jivatma, comparable to a wave, and Paramatma, comparable to the ocean? Firstly, the essential nature of both ocean and wave is just water. The essential nature of both Paramatma and Jivatma is Atma. The microwave is born out of the macro ocean. Similarly, the microcosmic Jiva Shariram is born out of the macrocosmic Ishvara Shariram. When we are associated with our essential nature, we are Ananta. But when associated with the name and form, Nama Rupa, we become microcosmic, egocentric, limited individuals. The third quarter, Purnasya Purnam Adaya. Purnasya means from the combination product consisting of first the Atma, the Shariri, which is Nitya, Satya, the Ananta aspect. Secondly, the Anatma, the Shariram, which is Anitya, Mithya, the limited aspect. Purna here refers to Atma, the Shariri. Adhaya means if negated or removed. Purnasya Purnam Adaya therefore means if we were to negate the Atma aspect of every Jivatma or Paramatma, what would we be left with? The fourth quarter, Purnam Eva Avashishyate. Purnam Eva Avashishyate. Purnam here means Atma or the Shariri. The Atma alone remains in existence. This again seems illogical because we expect the Anatma or Shariram to remain by logical deduction. Purnam evava shishyate therefore means that the Anatma has no existence independent of the Atma. The message to remember is Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anupama, for within 4 odd minutes to be able to explain the essence of the Vedanta in this very cryptic mantra. For those who are listening to it for the first time, will find it difficult, but there is no other way but to listen to it again, make your notes and see how we can understand this particular cryptic mantra, which is the sum and substance of all Vedanta. We conclude today's session with the story meditation. Of course, we will be having chanting. So this is interspersed before the chanting to read about stories. I have presented so many stories until now, and most of these stories are from the delightful book by a Catholic priest, Anthony de Mello, The Song of the Bird. He has taken it from different sources, and so you will see spirituality in a capsule. He not only gives us the stories, but he has told you how to meditate on these stories. When you listen to a story, when you read a story, it is like a cow which ingests, but then you ruminate over it. Whenever you get some time, whenever you are by yourself, think of what is the deeper meaning of the story and see how you can allow the deeper meaning of the story to evolve. He has defined mysticism as the art of tasting and feeling in your heart the inner meaning of these stories to a point that can transform you. It is through his writing that I first understood the meaning of the word Advaita. Advaita literally means non-dual. It means not one, not two. So you have to discover the oneness in the seeming two. The example is nicely given is the singer and the song. The singer and the song are two separate things. And yet we can never separate the song from the singer. In this example, you will see the singer or the dancer creates, sustains, and finally resolves the dance or the song back into the singer or the dancer, which means the dancer is of a higher order of reality. The song and the dance is of a lower order of reality. If we can understand the non-dual in the singer and the song example, we can understand non-dual in the creator and the creation. The creation has come out of the creator. It is sustained and it resolves back into the creator, but it has no independent existence apart from the creator. Although we see the creation as real and tangible, including our own bodies, this particular non-dual example is an explanation to say how this world is of a lower order of reality and it is non-dual, mithya compared to the creator. And that is why these chapters of Vibhuti and Vishwarupa are for us to meditate on the creation, see what this creation is all about. Is it substantial? Is it real? Is it mithya? If this is unreal or of the lower order of reality, it must come out from someone from the seeming real. Asato ma sadgamaya. From what appears to be real, let us go to what is real. I heard this beautiful story many, many years ago from Osho. I never understood it, but it is a fascinating story. And like any story from a mystic nature, there are many things that cannot be explained, but just be with the story. It will dwell its meaning over a period of time. But for the time being, our job is to just ingest the story and let the meaning come over a period of time. It's a story of a father and a son, a king and a prince. Very similar to the story of Gautama Buddha, when the king taught his son everything, but he didn't allow him to be exposed to three things. The Buddha was not exposed to aging, suffering, or death. So too, this king taught his son everything except three things. He didn't teach him about islands. He had no idea about princesses. He had no idea about God. One day, like Siddhartha escaped the clutches of the father, the little boy escaped the clutches and he landed on the seashore. And he was amazed to see those pieces of land in the middle of the water. And as he was staring into them, he could see some figures that were moving. And he was trying to make out what this was. In comes an old man with a long beard, with a long sleeve which was folded. And the boy asks this old man, "What are those things in the middle of the water?" He says, "Those are islands." "And what are those movement happening?" "Those are princesses." So suddenly the boy from nowhere, this is a story, he says, "If there are islands and there are princesses, there must be God." And the man says, "I am God." The boy was very happy. He learned three things. He goes back to his father and he says, "Papa, you know what? I learned three things today. I saw islands, I saw princesses, and I saw God." So the father looked a little amazed. Was it an old man with a long beard? He said, "Yes." "Did he have a coat with a long sleeve which was folded up?" The boy said, "Yes." "Oh, that man, he's not God, but he's a magician. And because of his magical or Maya Shakti, he's able to create islands, he's able to create princesses. He's not God." So the boy accepted the father's words. And the next day, when he went, he saw the old man and he confronts the old man and saying, "You know what my father said? That you are a magician, and because of your magical powers, you have created all these things." So the man said, "Yes, I am a magician. But you know something? Your father is not a king. You're not a prince. He's also a magician. Because of his magical powers, he's able to create an illusion of being a king and a kingdom. Go and ask him." So the boy goes back to his father, actually shocked, and he asks his father, "Is it true that you're a magician?" And the father says, "Yes." Suddenly the boy is shocked. "So all this is all magic? All this is just Maya?" And the father says, "Yes." "If this is unreal, I don't want to live an unreal life. I would rather die." His father said, "Are you sure?" He says, "Yes. If this is all unreal, what is the point of living an unreal life? I would rather die." The father did something magical, and at the far end of the hall was Yamadharmaraja sitting in all his glory, asking the boy to come. He says, "Come, come, come to me." The boy was frightened seeing the god of death in front of him, calling him. But then he thought, those beautiful islands, unreal islands, those beautiful princesses, unreal princesses. He inferred, if those two are unreal, death is also unreal. He walked towards the god to embrace the god of death. Friends, I'll leave you to your own interpretation of this particular story. What is Satya or Mithya? And this story leads us to this understanding of Asato Ma Sadgamaya. Our whole spiritual sadhana is to move from what appears to be real to that which is real, and that comes through Guru Shastra Upadesha, to that understanding that one day when we realize that we have to surrender to this body, can we have that wisdom of the little boy to be able to say, even death is mithya. Hari Om, thank you. We will conclude today's session by chanting of verses 19 to 42 of the 10th chapter by the two Mysore brothers, Venkatesh Prasad and Madhusudan. Over to you.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Hantate kathayishyami दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतयः प्राधान्यतः कुरु श्रेष्ठ नास्त्यन्तो विस्तरस्य मे
अहमात्मा गुडाकेश सर्वभूताशयस्थितः अहमादिश्च मध्यं च भूतानामन्त एव च
आदित्यानामहं विष्णुः ज्योतिषां रविरंशुमान् मरीचिर्मरुतामस्मि नक्षत्राणामहं शशी
वेदानां सामवेदोऽस्मि देवानामस्मि वासवः इन्द्रियाणां मनश्चास्मि भूतानामस्मि चेतना
रुद्राणां शङ्करश्चास्मि वित्तेशो यक्षरक्षसां वसूनां पावकश्चास्मि मेरुशिखरिणामहम्
पुरोधसाञ्च मुख्यं मां विद्धि पार्थ बृहस्पतिं सेनानीनामहं स्कन्दः सरसामस्मि सागरः
महर्षीणां भृगुरहं गिरामस्म्येकमक्षरं यज्ञानां जपयज्ञोऽस्मि स्थावराणां हिमालयः
अश्वत्थः सर्ववृक्षाणां देवर्षीणां च नारदः गन्धर्वाणां चित्ररथः सिद्धानां कपिलो मुनिः
उच्चैश्रवः समश्वानां विद्धि मामृतोद्भवम् ऐरावतं गजेन्द्राणां नराणां च नराधिपम्
आयुधानामहं वज्रं धेनूनामस्मि कामधुक् प्रतनश्चास्मि कन्दर्पः सर्पाणामस्मि वासुकिः
अनन्तश्चास्मि नागानां वरुणो यादसामहं पितॄणामर्यमा चास्मि यमः संयमतामहम्
प्रह्लादश्चास्मि दैत्यानां कालः कलयामहं मृगाणां च मृगेन्द्रोऽहं वैनतेयश्च पक्षिणाम्
पवनः पवतामस्मि रामः शस्त्रभृतामहं झुषाणां मकरश्चास्मि स्रोतसामस्मि जाह्नवी
सर्गाणामादिरन्तश्च मध्यं चैवाहमर्जुना अध्यात्मविद्या विद्यानां वादः प्रवदतामहम्
अक्षराणाम् अकारोऽस्मि द्वन्द्वः सामासिकस्य च अहमेवाक्षयः कालः धाताहं विश्वतो मुखः
मृत्युः सर्वहरश्चाहम् उद्भवश्च भविष्यताम् कीर्तिः श्रीर्वाक्च नारीणां स्मृतिर्मेधा धृतिक्षमा
बृहत्साम तथा साम्नां गायत्री छन्दसामहं मासानां मार्गशीर्षोऽहं ऋतूनां कुसुमाकरः
द्यूतं छलयतामस्मि तेजस्तेजस्विनामहम् जयोऽस्मि व्यवसायोऽस्मि सत्त्वं सत्त्ववतामहम्
वृष्णीनां वासुदेवोऽस्मि पाण्डवानां धनञ्जयः मुनीनाप्तहं व्यासः कवीनामुशना कविः
दण्डो दमयतामस्मि नीतिरस्मि जिगीषताम् मौनं चैवास्मि गुह्यानां ज्ञानं ज्ञानवतामहम्
यच्चापि सर्वभूतानां बीजं तदहमर्जुन न तदस्ति विना यत्स्यान्मया भूतं चराचरम्
नान्तोऽस्ति मम दिव्यानां विभूतीनां परन्तप एष तुद्देशतः प्रोक्तः विभूतेर्विस्तरो मया
यद्यद्विभूतिमत्सत्त्वं श्रीमदूर्जितमेव वा तत्तदेवावगच्छत्वं मम तेजोंशसम्भवम्
अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याहमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकाङ्क्षेन स्थितो जगत् ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुन संवादे विभूतियोगो नाम दशमोऽध्यायः हरिः ओम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्
Thank you, friends, for your kind attention. With this, we have come to the end of today's session. Last Friday, that is on 4th December, we completed our 19th session with the study of 18th chapter of Gita. With this, we have completed study of summary of all 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Next Friday, that is on 11th December 2020, our team has planned a special program for our concluding session of 20-week Gita course. On that day, we will have two of our gurus, Swami Chidanandaji and His Holiness Sri Sri Shankara Bharati Mahaswamiji of Yedatore Mutt are going to address us. Dr. Hegde sir will share our plans for the next course on Introduction to Upanishad. Request you all to kindly log in on that day and listen to the great gurus. Before that, Wednesday, 9th December, our Gita Jayanti celebration will continue with next set of shlokas. Let's meet on Friday evening, same time. Please log in before 6:45 p.m. local time. Let's conclude with Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.